It's good to see your faces. We're starting off a new year, and we're starting off by coming together. We do very similar things here in Antigua, and I think what we can say, we try to find local solutions. We try to stop harm to people and the environment. And it's a great work that you're doing. Why I brought you all together is that there's so many meetings going on at the international level, and when you go, the Antigua government representatives are there. But I've realized over time that nothing, very little, is said to the public. They may have a press release on, the radio, but it takes more than that. And the crisis around the world requires all of society. It requires advocacy, education, awareness, because the actions have to be done by the people. And we have to hold the governments accountable. But if you don't know, how are you going to hold people accountable? So it's very, very important that you that are on the ground, taking actions, know how important your work is. When you go to meetings, that's what they want to hear. What are the actions that are impacting people? And this transformational change that is being spoken about, it has to come from me impacting you, Malika. You're impacted, you're going to do something. And that's how the change is going to take place, by us committing to ensure that we take actions to bring solutions to our local crisis. So I welcome you. It's good to be here. We're going to start with a word of prayer. And Winston, I'm going to ask you to come and ask God's blessings on our event today. Winston Abrams.
Morning, let us pray. Our loving Father, we thank you once again for the very breath of life. We acknowledge this morning that without you we are nothing and we can do nothing. We acknowledge that you are the great I am. And Father, we can sit here for all eternity and praise your name, and we would not do justice for what we owe you. And Father, we acknowledge also that it is not by might nor by power, but by your Spirit. And we ask for your hand and blessings on this. We pray you would give wisdom and that you would be honored and glorified. We thank you for what Ruth has done and what she is doing, and everyone here, Father. We pray, Father, that first and foremost, that you would be honored and glorified. We love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Okay. So the first on the informal agenda is that we are going to introduce ourselves and share what you're doing. I expect to have some government representatives here. I don't see them as yet, so I don't know what has happened. But where they don't come and think, I can provide the backup information. And as I mentioned before, I wanted to share on the Escazú agreement where we are, SICOM, which is the Chemicals and Waste Agreement, biodiversity, plastics, all these are international agreements that governments are negotiating right now. But they require the inputs of the local people. There'll be no implementation if the local people aren't involved. So I just felt the need to bring you together to provide certain updates because these processes are ongoing. And I don't really see how we can go forward with recommendations when the people are not involved, when the people don't know what's going on. So our first introduction will come. Mr. Orwell Benjamin is here, but he cannot stay the full period. He's from the Antigua Barbuda Fishermen's Cooperative, and we welcome you. I read of your final judgment. I see that you have finally won, and I saw in the paper you getting into your building, breaking windows and doors. And so we'd like you to share with us what are the plans, how can we as local groups assist you as an organization. I realize a lot of things have been dormant for some years, because of, the stalemate, but thanks for having you.
My name is Orel Benjamin. I'm Vice Chair and Treasurer for the Antigua and Barbuda Fishermen's Cooperative Society. The society has been one that's been around for quite some time. I think it was registered in 1994 with 12 members, and over the years it has grown, faced adversities in and out. Currently we have 248 members, I think 20 females and 223 males. In recent time, we've had some trials. Former president took over the corporation and took it to a realm that it should not have been. And we've been battling with him in the courts for an average of 5 years now. But a recent judgment handed the society back over to its members. So we are in possession of some of the assets, but not all of the assets. So it's still going to be an ongoing fight, but we are going to fight on to bring it back to where it was in previous years. Now, our objectives present day is to have the facility at Point Wharf re-operational because it wasn't in recent years. We should be getting fuel, gas and diesel for the fishermen today. And in short future, we have a container that should be coming with baits that are relative to what the fishermen uses. And we are in negotiation also in getting wires and other materials and equipments that are necessary for fishermen to ply their trades. We have met with the Chinese ambassador a few days ago to ask their assistance for any help that their government might be able to give to us and to lead us in the right direction to find sources in their country, both for our marketing and to source materials that are relative for our business to thrive. We've had very good reception, and we were assured that we will be assisted as much as possible from their end. So things are looking up in recent time from the cooperative's perspective, and I hope within a few months we'll be able to get the cooperative, if not back to where it was, at least 90% of its capacity where it was, because we're planning on embarking on enrolling new membership, which is a critical thing, on which had gone dormant for a while now because of all the infightings and stuff that was going on. So these are some of the things that we've been doing in recent times. And as I say, I just hope that we grow from strength to strength. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. I wanted to ask you a question. With the discussions, the consultations taking place on the blue economy, as you realize the oceans, the waters that you operate on are poised to receive a lot of support. Has your group been involved in these consultations with I believe it's the Ministry of Social Transformation where Blue Economy is?
No, because remember, the judgment was just handed down on the 12th
Okay.
of December.
All right.
Just
Okay.
a few weeks that we are
Okay.
in operational.
Okay. Okay.
So, but it's on our agenda.
Okay.
We spoke about it.
Okay. 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 I just want to make sure that you're aware of all these. Okay.
But we have not dialogue with anyone.
Okay. Okay. Anybody have any other question?
It's not only questions. My name is Paul Bacchus, agriculturist by training, National Development Foundation, and work on many committees of the Ministry of Agriculture. Antigua Fisheries, and I'll be very brief. Where the fisheries concerned, about 10 years ago, I put a proposal which was accepted. I'm saying a few things. One, with all due respect, the Ministry of Agriculture needs to restructure and reestablish the Fisheries Department. The Fishermen Co-op needs to extend its membership to Barbuda. They have membership in Barbuda. And the, I wouldn't want to say the Statistic Department, but possibly the Agricultural Economic Section need to monitor fish production and fish export and should look at fish processing. There was one period of time when fisher folks in Guadeloupe and Martinique flew by plane to Barbuda to purchase fish and lobster. And some of that material ended up in other French countries, and they were doing a significant export of fish. We need to get back there today. The last thing I want to say is that I'm suggesting that the ministry should establish, should I call it a training center? But we need to establish a center where we could train young people in all aspects of fishing and the management of fishing. Antigua and Barbuda fishing should be one of the key fishing services in CARICOM. The last thing I'll speak about is that we could backpedal on the University of the West Indies. Historically, the Param fisheries, part of the western part of Barbuda, they're the few fishing environment in the Caribbean that could develop the marine supplies. They got the aquatic and herbal material where lobster could propagate, multiply. In Param, about 50 years ago, the fish reproduction there used to move out to the other islands. We should relook at that. Those are my suggestions.
Yes, let me rebut on what Mr. Bakker said. We do have fisher folks in Barbuda, and equally like how the boats used to go to Barbuda to purchase supplies.
Yes.
We had same here, but because of some intervention that are not positive, it died out over a period of time. It is still ongoing, but on a marginal scale, very, very low scale. I myself was one of the agents who used to supply Guadeloupe and Martinique with fish and lobsters. But as I say, over the years it has died out. The Fishermen's Co-op now, these are avenues that we're looking to embark on, so that when the fisherman goes out and he has a good catch, we can purchase from him, we can process, and we can do the marketing so that everybody is comfortable. So we do have some plans in the pipeline. As far as the fisheries division goes, I don't know much about their doings because that is a separate entity. Although from time to time we do collaborate, but I guess eventually there might be a merger for the betterment of all fisher folks throughout Antigua and Barbuda. I am hopeful that that merger comes to play. The ministry now is another level. They haven't been very hands-on, but with a little push, a little nudge here and there, we're hoping to get them fully hands-on, on board, and then things can move. But our main target now is to get the Fishermen's Cooperative Society back up to speed so that we can have interaction with all the different agencies relative to fish production, processing, and all of the above. Yes. I personally, I do my own. I do my own processing, I do my own sales, but not everyone is as fortunate as I am. So, just to rebut on your question.
Morning to everybody. My concern is our crop, our fish, our conch, our lobster, everything is not limitless. In other words, we have to protect it. You have to control the breeding seasons for all these lobster, conch, to do with sizes and so on, that to be caught and all this sort of thing. So I think the association shouldn't be relying on government for that. It's for their own good to see that the fishermen, catch fish within a reasonable size and so on. The net size and the seine size and all that makes a difference, right? So many times you go on the beach and you see when they pull in the seine, all these small fish come up there, and they just left them there to die. So I think, from my experience, I born here, as you know, and I used to do a lot of diving and so on, and a lot of deep sea fishing. And now you used to go 2 miles offshore, now you're going 30 miles offshore, right? Because to me, there's no control. There's no closed season. The other day I see them bringing in mahi, what they call mahi. The things don't weigh no more than 3 pounds. It's crazy. So I think, the Fishing Association have to do, you have the Deep Sea Fishing Association and so on. So maybe all can get together and police these things, because it's for your own benefit in the long run. Thank you.
I take your point, what you're saying, Vernon, but the whole situation is we are not a governing body that manages this stuff. We're just a cooperative. I know the fisheries has personnel in office who is responsible for doing these things, but then they are a bit challenged. They don't have any boats. They hardly have transportation. They hardly have resources to work in office.
I complained to them some time ago about the same mahi coming in, right? The same way I can drive and find these things, they can drive and find them. But they know, okay, this fisherman go over every Wednesday. So he comes back in Wednesday afternoon, go and see what fish he bringing is.
There's a division in there that used to do the datas, but as I say, they have been challenged with transport, because my father was a data collector for the agency when he was alive, and he used to go from point to point to point to see what the fishermen has catch, their sizes, if anything was out of season, these stuff. But nowadays I don't see anyone doing it. So I take your point with what you're saying, but the Fisheries Division is the agency who has to police that, but I can tell you that they are very limited in their resources. So that is one of the challenges that we're having. No, not on my end. Not on my end. I don't have anything to do as far as management with that division. As I say,
Monitoring. With Mr. Hall, I'd like to suggest that it is in your interest to push it.
oh, as a fisherman,
That you should perhaps look at educating the members as one of your primary.
that is very high on the cooperative's agenda. But then holistically, the fisheries activities in Antigua lies wholly and solely on the Fisheries Division. From time to as I said to you,
As he said, is your livelihood.
yes, I take your point daily.
Pescatarian, so I like fish.
Yes, I take your point daily, but it's only in recent time. We were nominated to the Antigua and Barbuda Fishermen's Cooperative board in 2017. We have not had a chance to implement anything until the 12th of December, because every time that it looks as if we're making progress, the previous former board took the matter back to court and just tied up the whole thing in litigation for some 7 years now. We got a judgment on the 12th of December 2022, and I believe that we have done quite well for the few short weeks that we're in there. Not blowing our horns, but Ruth will tell you that we have done a lot. We have achieved the building back. We have had the fuel tanks cleaned. We have cleaned the property. We have fenced it. We have sourced materials and otherwise that are going to be coming in shortly. So we've done quite a bit in 2 weeks.
In the past, we had protected areas,
Yes,
right? Saltfish tail and wherever. Wrong, so
yes.
you don't hear anything about these things going on.
Cades. Cades is a protected area as well,
You
yes.
don't hear anything about anybody going out and say, well, you know,
That's what I'm saying. The fisheries does not have the resources that it takes. And the government doesn't seem to be doing anything.
yeah, but you have to push. They up and down all over the place.
The Coast Guard will just boldly tell you that it's not their job. Yes, I mean,
Okay, and you have to get the mic. Okay.
but probably for
Okay. I represent Sweet Village Uncovered. I am from Swiss. I live presently in Falmouth. So when Mr. Hall was saying about the fish, and I see, especially in Bailey supermarket on the door, you would have seen from time to time because I grew up. My father used to have his boat go fishing in Old Road, so grew up around fish, and so it's something that's an interest to me. It's one of my little heart. And you used to look and see there's a sign that you should have put. I don't know who is responsible for that sign going out there. We talk about the different season, close season for this and different size.
Yes.
What I believe, we as individuals, we who love the fish, sometimes we go to the fishermen when they come in. So we have to play a part. And we say to them we want plate size. Right? So sometimes when the fishermen now go out and they get some of the fishes that will be deemed small, they know we're going to be buying them. So now we also have to play our part. Yes, you say one plate size, but the plate size should be don't go below the stipulated size. And so if we do that, they realize, look, they cannot get this fish sold, so when they go and they pull it, they have to return it to the sea. Let's play our part, let's push. We start to have to push if you have to push from down here, going up, push together, force will make water go up that hill.
Yes, that is a challenge because I have observed over the years, people don't like to cut fish. They always want the head and the tail together, and it poses a challenge. I myself had to show people how to fillet a fish, how to trim them, cut them in halves and stuff so that they can serve two purposes instead of the one that they want. So it is a challenge. And irrespective of people are going to buy them because that is what they want. But then, as you say, if it means that some measures have to be put in place regulating a specific size. But of course, some fish don't grow bigger than a certain size. Fish like the grunts and stuff don't grow too big. Those will fall right within the realm of a plate-sized fish. But there are others that grow bigger. Some people don't want to cut them. They just want them at a specific size. But you will just have to educate them as time goes by. Sure.
Okay, I am one of those, maybe some people may say stray. Everybody now want the, go to the tilapia farm and get those fresh fish. We used to go by the pond and use our little mesh and cheese pan so we catch our fish. And when the fish is so small, we used to throw them back in the water as little children. And we used to string them up on the vine and going home with the fishes. As when I was at your university, and a few of us decided we're going to go fishing. We tell the teachers, okay, let's go fishing. And so we went fishing. One time, we were driving around different places. One day when we were at Potworks and they were pulling the fish, I see them start scaling some. The fish can't hold in my hand. And I like, what happened to y'all? Literally was saying it. And I said, what is it, dialect? They say, you got to be serious. Say, I'm not used to people eating those little things. That's sardine.
Yes.
I'm used to eating a good size cali. Yes. So even that, it bothered me. So I'm saying is we need to start advocate. A size is not acceptable. They will lose because they realize they have to buy the fuel, they have to buy the different material and so forth. They have to pay somebody to go out there and all that. And when they realize they're getting that loss, they will do and comply with what's supposed to happen. We have to push it.
I have to use the mic? I have to use the mic. Yes, I was like provoked when I heard that gentleman spoke about fish, because my father was one of the greatest fishermen in the East, and I just took a few notes. One of them was in the sea out there's a cockle. I remember as a child, my father would take us off the boat on an island just off Green Island, and as soon as you touched the sand, there was cockle. We would get buckets and buckets of cockle. Recently, I'm learning that there's a hotel like on Green Island, and it troubled me because I see this is further destruction for what is going to be happening. I should apologize for being late. No fault of mine. I'm not a late person. Now, I hear you mention the word plastic. Sometime last year, I love the soil, I love my environment, and I work in the community. And I had a project to clean the cemetery. I don't know if any one of you realize the amount of plastic flowers that are put into the cemeteries on the island of Antigua and Barbuda. That period of time, I collected 20 garbage bags of plastic flowers. I thought I had succeeded in preventing the thing from happening again, but as I go to funerals all the time, I am still seeing all these artificial flowers all over the place, and you know where they end up. Another thing I thought of while I was there is the pirating of our people. We need to have people out there on the beaches observing, making reports. Very often, people are pirating on simple things around us, and we don't even know. Take, for instance, the worry, the marbles that we play with in the worry board. The trees are becoming an endangered species. And nobody seems to be bothered. And yet still there's so much being said about the game worry. So I just thought when I came in here, I felt itchy from what I'm hearing. Things are just happening, and it's just as if we are unable to remedy it. I love my country. I'm on my way out. And all I can hear all the time is talking, talking, talking. I have great respect for this woman. Great respect I have for Ruth Spencer. She was able to assist my father in allowing us to get secondary school and other school, all as a result of the soil. I sent a child to university by working the soil, planting crops, and up to now I retire, I still live from the soil. I have a bag of stuff there, and it's just samples of what came from a small project that Angelic Ruth Spencer assisted it to come out to be something that during this pandemic, I can't tell you, the reservoir was so full and it emptied during the pandemic. The need, the desire for water came at a time when the reservoir was restored as a result of her help. It's full now again. I say no more because I came in late, but I'm glad I came because I wasn't going to disappoint her.
Yes. Anybody else? Anyone else?
I don't necessarily have a question, but a comment in general.
Okay. Yeah, come on.
I think so much of what we discuss in Antigua and Barbuda comes down to this pride and civics. Things won't happen unless there's a will for it to happen. And quite often, even, and I agree with Malika that, you know, it's what we want. What are we demanding? What are we, you know? I grew up in Jennings, and we have all of these small ponds. You have the Dunnings Dam, etc. And, you know, you go out there, you hire a little fish line and, you know, and you catch what you don't need to take, you put it back in. But we have others who don't understand our culture of doing things, who come in and they do something different. And I can't tell them anything because I will know where I come from. And it's Antigua, clearly, you know. But it's up to us to police ourselves in a way, because we don't see sometimes the impetus coming from the powers that be. So what do we do? What do we demand? And we're in the political season, so it's what we want. And I think enough of us are not talking about what we need and what we desire. We're not shouting it from the hilltops. And I think when we adopt a culture of demanding more, then we'll see things happening, not because the top is doing it, but because people understand that it's unacceptable on a community level. And that's, I think, where we all need to be looking at, helping each other to understand what is required, what is desired, and what will not be tolerated. Yeah.
With that, I would just say some people are ignorant to certain things, hence their response to whatever they carry out. It's just a matter of education, and then things will flow a hell of a lot easier. So,
I was just saying to him, the mangrove, where the fishes you have to go and feed their eggs, we are damaging it also in terms of development. And that's another thing we need to stand up for. We can't have a mangrove that being damaged because we're not going to have fish soon. We can't import everything, because when we import some of those things, some of those chemicals going into a system, and then in here, okay, you normally use your skin with this, and you wonder, why my skin is breaking out? Why I'm feeling this way?
foreign bodies.
Because of those toxic things we're putting up, because we don't know what chemicals they use in the word preserve. We grew up using salt. We used to go to the salt pans. As little children, we used to look forward. We didn't figure out and understand going to the beach. We used to know holiday time, you go to the salt pan at 5 Island, you get the salt. As little children, you have to gather your portion of salt. Because we used to have pigs, we have the fish, and when we used to take those same cali, we used to cut them up. And I didn't realize at the time it was something input that our parents were teaching us. So with them saying we used to get the big cali, cut them up and hang them, make sure when the rain is coming,
Salt.
we collect them.
You salt them, yes.
And do it.
Preserve them.
And now, some persons, okay, what is that? What is this? And then, but other persons come and they create an industry, and we go and we just purchase everything. But we could do it. We had been doing it. Our parents would have taught us to do it. But now we just push it away because...
Well, I say everything now is minute made. So, so hence the reason. Hence the reason. Kali, yes.
There was a gentleman by the name of Cadman. He had, where Dr. Heath had his clinic and so on down there, where I think they said some Chinese bought to put down whatever. He lived there. I think he was a planter, or he worked for the sugar factory or whatever. So his name was Cadman, and he brought the fish from South Africa here. And the short term for Cadman is Kadi, not Kali. Right? Yeah, so the name over the years has changed now to Kali. But the correct short term is Kadi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hassani Williamson. Fishing for me is one of my passions. I used to fish for a living. You probably know that. And I used to operate from down at Point Wharf. Ever so often, I would pass by just to kind of, get into my zen and just be in the environment. But in recent times, I realized down at Point has just been congested with a lot of old boats on the dock, in the water, and so forth. What plans do you have from your association standpoint to address this? And I ask this because it's a slash between fishing and my passion, and the fact that I deal with waste too. So what are your plans where that is concerned?
The cooperative again doesn't manage the facility. The facility was granted to the Antiguan government by the Japanese, and it is the fisheries division who manages that aspect of the whole boat activities and stuff on the Point Wharf. The cooperative is a private, separate entity geared to facilitate fishermen. But we're not involved in the management of the wharf or any activities, the hauling, the launching, any of those activities. We're not involved or engaged in that.
But while that's from a facility standpoint, the very individuals who own these boats are past members of the association too.
Yes.
So, you know, what do you see you could do from that perspective to reduce, eliminate, stop that wanton putting down of some of these boats been there for years.
Okay, well, yeah, I can. Yeah, well, I can tell you that when you see something like that is going on, that the boats are just there, it is obviously a challenge that the fishermen are having, either with maintenance, with their engines, or some other aspect. We have plans in place to be able to assist the fishermen with their day-to-day maintenance that anyone would know is a challenge. Operating a vessel of a certain size is very costly. And the body has been granted duty-free concession by the government of Antigua and Barbuda, as all fishermen. Previous times, we were supplying the fishermen with materials to refurbish their boats, paint their boats, do all sorts of stuff. But that went out of the window when former board took over. A lot of things just went haywire. People tend to privatize the whole operation as their own. And that is one of the reasons, that's one of the problems that we had. But now, as I say, we are looking to structure it back into place. And all that was there previous and more, we're anticipating will happen in a short while. Because we are aware of the challenges that fishermen has. And it's not everyone or every fisherman does proper management. So we are going to be there to assist them as best as possible in terms of more cost-effective materials and gears and whatever is relative to their operation on a day-to-day basis. So, but then again, I will reiterate, our judgment came down on the 12th of December, so we're just a few weeks in operation, and I am hoping for the best in the near future. I am hoping that we can transform this thing within a few months.
I have a selfish question. I'll reserve all the others until we get settled.
Okay, I have
No, wait. I have a selfish question. My selfish question is this. I don't even need that. Why is the cost of fish so high in Antigua? Why? Because we live in an island paradise. I mean, I don't have to go through all the reasons. I can just simply say that our fish is the most costly pound for pound in the OECS and further afield. And I cannot understand why. And that links back to so many things in terms of our cultural identity, people choosing the sea, you know, fishing and everything, even, you know, our diet. I won't go into all of that. But it is difficult to eat fish in Antigua and to have, you know, a sort of affinity and respect for that industry because you feel the relationship is so abusive.
Well, let me just tell you, off the bat, the cost of the fish is that because of fuel. No, it is the reality of things. Fuel is the driving force for our operation. Put the gears aside, because you would have acquired the gears. The average vessel that goes 30 miles, 40 miles, it's a gallon per mile. That's just an average ratio. No, But it's on average, it's just about a gallon a mile.
I know that that's going to be the default answer.
Yes.
And I know that our fuel costs are a bit higher. But I also know that when fish close, you understand, they in other countries, they're going further for their food.
Yeah, but you see, any
Which means
country,
they're using less fuel.
any country that you can call, I can almost assure you that their fuel would have been subsidized.
Specific to the industry.
Yes. Their fuel would have been subsidized. We allow
That's
it.
why I'm waiting until we meet again. Because I want to know what your demands are. It's an election season,
Yeah.
but you have to have a question. You have what your demands are as you know, fishing property.
Yes.
But you need to get some.
Well, it's not that we are not forceful, but you know, sometimes you push things in one direction, it turns something else in the next. So we have to be careful on how we push. Right?
How does one obtain fish? If I don't have my personal fisherman, how do I get other than the fish market? Is there a way to obtain fish other than, I mean, in the supermarket I know there's fish there. I need fresh fish directly from a fish.
What area do you live?
I live in Param.
Oh. Oh, you're easy.
No, I have my fish, but the point that I'm going to make is fishermen, there are several stages before the fish gets to me. You caught it, you gave it to somebody else, that person gave it to somebody else, and then I got it, and there is where the cost goes up.
Your problem is solved. I live in Param as well. Your problem is solved. I live at Crabs Peninsula.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, I'm coming to see it. Okay.
Wonderful. And I would go fish 2 or 3 days out of the week currently. Mainly now I do it on the weekends because a lot of people are home on the weekends, and it's easier for them to come because I give them an opportunity to select from the catch what they want. Everybody eats different fish.
But you are unique, Malika. The fishermen would rather sell it to a hotel, primarily. That creates a different budget for people. I'm competing with a hotel. I'm competing with a restaurant. I'm not.
In my instance, the hotel has to come to me if they're desirous.
That's unique.
I don't go to the hotels. I do local. I have clients from all the way at Freetown.
Unique.
They will drive come to get their. I have clients from Sweets.
Well, I will call my fishermen and I'll say bam bam bam.
They will come to get their fish.
No, I live in Falmouth, but I'll drive there.
But that is what it is. You just have to know your area and where the outlets are located and the time that the fisherman normally comes in. I tend to try to get back at lunch because I find most people are available at that time. And it's fun for them to come and watch the processing and all that happens. They can select whatever they want. Some people only want doctor fish. Some want parrot.
I only want snapper.
Okay. There you go. So you see, everybody has a choice. So I give them that choice, and at the end of the day, my stall is clean when I'm done with processing.
And one last area, lobster. Just address lobster.
Yes.
Because lobster has become ill-affordable for the average person. Lobster used to crawl up on your veranda when you were a kid. Remember?
Yes. We used to bait pots with lobster.
Exactly.
When I was younger. But the tourist industry has driven it to a stage that the demand, the lobsters, the groupers, and the snappers, the cost is driven up by the tourist industry. And offshore demand. Yes, and offshore demands.
Yep.
They're good fish, and our lobster is second to none.
Absolutely.
So people who have acquired them and ate them, they will pay anything to have that source. So very little that is going to be able to be done now because there's a lobster association, and they're the ones who dictates, and that is still there as well. But lobster is a lobster.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I'm coming at it from a bit of a different direction. I'm a little bit of an environmental activist. We're involved a lot with beach cleans, and we're also trying to get plastic out of the environment. We've seen, in our experience, some of these fishermen beaches are completely littered with fishing gear and stuff these boys leave behind. Is there something that your co-op can do to help address this?
Well, it's something that we can look into.
Yeah.
And
it breaks a person's heart when they go and they see this.
I can tell you this much. You come to my facility,
I believe that you're different.
you would not see anything of the sort.
Yeah. But my question was, is there something that the co-op can maybe start
It is
doing
to help
difficult.
keep
These guys from just chucking everything in the
It's
ocean?
difficult to manage them because some of them are very unruly. Some of them are very unruly. It's very difficult. It is very difficult to manage them
Yes.
until the agency like solid waste. Until an agency like solid waste gets involved to start to take the boats that they just throw aside and take them to the dump.
Nets.
All of the above. Old nets, old fish pots.
All the rubbish off of the boat just goes on the beach.
If you come to my facility,
I believe
my old fish pots, you will never see them.
I believe that.
But they're there.
Yeah.
I have a separate area confined for them until I'm ready to refurbish them. But as I said, yes.
Yeah.
But Parm has been out of the cooperatives realm,
Right.
and we're now looking to pull them in. Some suggestions have been made, and I think that we are more looking now to start to give them access to duty-free fuels and all the other gears and stuff that because they've been out of it. Erlings has access, Point has access, but Parham doesn't. So it is high on our agenda. Then maybe when we get there, we can start to revamp a lot of these things that
Right.
because, as I said before, the boats that are there, it's not that they're old, they just need to be refurbished and put back to work.
From our experience, what we've seen mostly a lot is just dead nets left on the beach, old fishing gear,
And those are stuff that you can
ropes,
dispose of
lines,
easily.
floats, everything that comes off of the boat just ends up on the beach.
The lines
Goes
from the net
right
are
in the
always
ocean.
reusable.
Yeah.
So you cut them off, store them, and then you can just burn the other piece because the other piece is monofilament.
Right.
It burns very easily.
Right.
So it's just a matter of management.
Right. So you guys have an idea that you can create an awareness program to kind of help these guys have a
We're hoping for Parham that we will get in there. Point is not so difficult because we are there.
Right.
So we've already fenced the facility and revamped quite a few things. The next move is going to be the jetty facility. That's broken wood, old fish pots, all that stuff.
Right.
We will just put a team together and have it sorted out. But we do need a little time.
One built in a day.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, but-
Can I say something based on what gentleman said? When the boats are there, they need to put instead of leaving them in the water, maybe when the tide don't push them further in. Let them put them on dry dock, the water will flood instead of leaving them there. Every time the waves come, they go in. Have a way, shed or whatever, where they can go and dry dock and
Well,
so maybe you could tell your
but let me tell you,
members
that whole area down there is supposed to be relocated. And there were some requests made. But to date, I haven't seen any implementation of relocation or granting the request that was made. So that whole sector is supposed to be relocated to across from the Deepwater Harbor on the Point side area. There's an allocated area for it, but nothing has been done to it to date. And we're looking at 4 years and counting. So as long as that section is done, it will be an improvement and it will be totally different than what is there on the other side.
Okay, our last comment
Yeah,
from Mr.
I'm
Butler.
forced to speak again. I said in my presentation, I said we need to get the management aspect in place and the ministry got to get in place. And I think we very brief. Years ago, the fisheries officers used to monitor the fishing vessels 12 months a year. Vessels have to be registered, and the registration identify where they will operate from.
Yes.
Who operate from point,
Yes.
farm, all of that.
Yes.
The other thing is that the fisheries officer used to maintain a monthly report that dealt with fish catch everything. And the last thing I want to say is that the fishing industry has developed a stage where all the fisheries complex are supposed to have a fuel depot.
Yes. Yes.
Where fishermen were supposed to get fuel at a reduced price.
Yes.
And then there was supposed to be an ice pollution unit where the fishermen were able to get ice to store the fish. And both then a certain area not working or anything, the fisheries officer will have the registration of those boats and deal with them. In the case where we got to go back to management and increase. The last thing I want to say is that there was a time when Antigua was producing in excess fish whaling, and there was a talk about fish processing and export on a national basis. And that is why I said we got to train young persons in the fishing industry.
Yes. But Mr. Benjamin,
Yes.
a lot
Needs
has to be
done.
done, but we're here to support you.
Yes. Appreciate that.
We're here to support you, and you have
Yes.
to take actions. Don't sit down and wait. You're talking about things on the books 4 years ago. You got to demand action.
Well, you see the difficulty that we've been faced with as well. A lot of times we organize meetings with the authorities and they push you off aside. Or they will commit to a time, and then when that time is fast approaching, they give you another excuse to meet.
Get on the media,
So,
put your advocacy on the media, wake up everybody. You gotta
So-
find ways to get your messages out.
Yeah, so they are aware. People are aware, but most times I find people are reluctant to take action. Because if you take action, you will be perceived as a troublemaker or an instigator. You know, but people are just afraid to take action. So, okay, is there anything else related to fishing?
Well, we learned a lot. I learned a lot, and I see there's a lot to be done.
Oh, there's a lot to be done.
But you have to build those alliances. You know? You remember, we are other groups here to support you. When you're having your meetings and fight us, you know? And he spoke about the fishing gear, the harm they do to the marine environment.
Yes.
So things like that. But we're here to help each other. That's how life goes. And we thank you for coming and for sharing, and we look forward to strengthening those partnerships and collaboration.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you very much for your share. Okay. Huh?
Previous commitment, so I will have to take my leave. I'll sit for a few minutes, but I have to go shortly.
Okay, so that was our first sharing, and see how it got very extensively. So we are going to go around. Wasita, we're going to start with you. Introduce, well, you know, giving the introduction.
My name is Rosita Edwards. I'm from Freetown. And again, I apologize. I didn't drive, I was driven, and the person took me all around. And I felt so guilty. But I'm glad to be here, even though I'm always in groups where I hear a lot of chat. But I like action. I like action. I like to see things happening. So I am hoping that this will motivate me to think differently, because I had made a decision. I'm not coming to no more meetings where here chatting. I want to see something done. And tea is beautiful and wonderful. And we're so fortunate. We have so much to work with. Let us try our best to make a difference so something will happen.
Okay, as I said earlier, I'm from Sweets. I live in Falmouth, but I'm representing the Sweets Village Uncovered. And for upcoming for the year, we are looking at some training for our members. Even the little children, from the adults to the children, we intending to maybe make some stuff like, the plaiting. They go and harvest, they learn to do something, planting some things around. So at the end of the day, when we go off, we know that we have left something to keep going. We don't want our stuff to die. Because we there at Swiss Village Uncover have one of the gold mine. People dig for gold. Our gold mine is their city. We have a house that's blouse and skirt. The old time stuff is only thing that is changed about the house is the flooring is no longer the board. But inside the artifacts they're there from the long time. You go there, you can see it. We have models of like the old school and the old church, which presently we are doing outdoor shed to put them on so when people come, presently 1 or 2 tourists will come and start to visit. So if you're willing to come and have a look, you call our president. Our president is not there yet. We're preparing some things to come. So you're going to also get a taste of sweets, right? So as we continue to work, our aim is to reduce, repurpose, and recycle. So when you come to Swiss, you're going to see a lot of stuff that you're going to say to yourself, I didn't know I could use this thing to do this. I didn't realize that this thing could be used for this. So come expecting is not the old time thing, but it's the thing that we just refurbish and give it a different look. But we don't want to let our culture die. We want to be really willing to share with other communities because we don't want to keep it for Swiss alone. It is sweet, but it's sweet enough to share with you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Charlotte Hoydonk, and I'm the co-founder of the West Indies Sail Heritage Foundation. It's not for nothing that we're sitting next to each other. We have 2 big projects. My husband Billy is the founder. I will tell about our plastic upcycle project, and Billy can tell about the sailing and what we try to do with sailing. First, a big thank you to Ruth, who introduced us to the idea, and then to Natalia, who's sitting in the back there, who helped us enormously getting the GEF SGP small grant fund. And I'm happy to say that we got a second grant to upscale the project. So now we're going to go all, tell everything to everyone on the island. And I'm really happy. There are some products, what you see behind there. So what we do, we take the Oasis bottle caps and we grind them. And with the money of the small grant of the GEF SGP, we make new products, flower pots, seedling pots, key hangers. We have bigger pots to show what you can do with plastic waste. But to be honest, where it starts is we would be even more happy if there is no plastic waste. But we all know that there will be always plastic. So when we have plastic and we do things like this with it, at least it's not ending up in the ocean, because we all know that by 2030 there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. So realize that is in 7 years. So are we getting plastic in our body with the fish? Yes, we do. What we do is we are funded by GEF SGP. We are funding ourselves. There is no government involved. We run an awareness program and we realize that we can't change the world. But every youngster, because we focus on youngsters, they are the future. They are the people we want to talk to. Every youngster realizes we should start here in our own household. That's a plus. So that's the small scale what we are doing. So we're producing a little bit. We have a bigger workshop. We start to work together with schools this season. So I have the best neighbor ever. We're gonna have a deal. So this meeting for us is already good. And I'm glad to say that we're going to work together with the Island Academy and with Antigua State College. We did guest lectures last year, so I think we're going to show what we do on that part. And then Billy has a very interesting part about sailing and maritime careers. And we live in Falmouth, by the way.
Yeah, we
Thank you. Good day, everyone. I'm Eustace Phillip from Barnes Hill. I'm a member of the Barnes Hill Community Development Organization. It's new to me, even though the organization has been going on for quite a while, but I'm a new member to the organization. At the moment, we are on a project to revive one of the water reservoirs. It's going very slowly for a number of reasons, lack of finances mainly. But we are coming along with the project. It just takes time, and very soon I think we'll have the reservoir properly revitalized. That's as much as I can say at this moment. So if you have any questions that I may be able to answer.
If you get any assistance from the government to push along, since we suffer from water shortage?
Actually, not really. The assistance comes mainly from the community, from the people in the environment. But no, we get no assistance from the government so far.
Maybe we'll have to try and approach somebody to get help here.
I think we have been trying.
Okay.
Sir,
Any question?
would you be able to quantify what you need now in terms of cash in hand to complete that revenue?
No, I'm not in a position to do that. I'm mainly a I'm a, if I may say, a follow-on to the organization. I try to assist the organization as much as I can, but not within the core membership of the organization. So I won't be able to advise you as to how much funds we require to get along. That's about it. Next. Next. Anybody else?
Yeah. All right. Good morning again, everyone. Hassani Williamson. I'm the manager and the owner of Will's Recycling. That's a recycling. Well, I want to say first, it's a scrap metal yard, but later on you'll get to appreciate how it has evolved to not just scrap metal, but recycling collection in general. So we're a recycling collection depot. We've been established since 2011. We're located on the way to the landfill, and we employ 7 individuals, 5 males, and two females. Currently, our core business has to deal with the diversion and the exploitation of metal waste. All right, diverting it away from the landfill and the environment, and we do this by offering an incentive to individuals. All right, so we will buy it, we collect it, we sort it, we process it, and export it to companies that make use of this waste, which is actually a resource. This very model of incentivizing and giving individuals a reward or some sort of cash reward for returning the waste has really shaped a relationship between individuals in the public, landfill pickers, and the buyers overseas, and even depots who operate here in the island. This interaction has led to one, the diversion of over 10,000 tons of metal scrap away from the landfill over the years, and it has also created a sustainable and recycling loop. Sort of creating that circular economy. Okay. It is this very, very ongoing relationship that has evolved our vision. And this is where I said at the beginning of my speech that we have evolved from scrap metal recycling to now recycling in general, because our vision has now been shaped into one where we are looking at how can we divert as many different waste types away from the landfill, away from the environment, and do something with it. Let's repurpose it. Let's do what Mother Nature is doing with waste, where nothing at all goes to waste. Everything, single thing is yours. All right. And so, with that vision in mind, we move forward in terms of our dedication, our long term plans, where we actively look for solutions where we can process, where we can use the very waste that's here to make something. Like for instance, there's this young guy who is taking metal waste right now, and he's making souvenirs, and he's selling it to the different hotels and so forth. We are speaking with him, and he's willing to come on board and to actually be part of the Wales Recycling Group, where he can actually train individuals and operate, from our depot. And so our vision has taken us to look at other waste types such as used cooking oil, e-waste, food waste, and so forth. All right, so that's where we're at right now. Outside of just the metal exportation, we're looking at how can we deal with the other waste types and treat it in a more environmentally friendly manner and get away from this dumping of the waste at the landfill. We're all aware of the challenges that the pollution brings to us. We are aware of the goals that have been set, by the larger bodies in terms of achieving certain goals, certain levels of diversion and reduction in plastic waste and other different waste that's affecting the environment. So we're in that gear. And that's our long-term plan, and we're working towards that. And of course, we can't and we have not been doing it on our own. So I want to use this opportunity to highlight the importance of collaboration, and there must be ongoing education, awareness, action, as you would say, all right, on the ground, by all groups and all individuals. All right. I want to highlight some of the opportunities that we have had and interactions that we've had underground here. So groups like Zero Waste, where we have been able to come together, various recyclers in different aspects, coming together to share our experiences and to see how we can support and to magnify our efforts, more as a group. The small grants program, which have been very supportive financially in terms of providing grant funding to raise awareness and to bring technology that would improve our processes. The Antigua Barbuda Tourism Board, which has engaged us to share our experiences with the youths. Again, awareness. And I want to highlight this. Education is very important. It was through my interaction with the different groups and invitations to different workshops where I became more aware, and the perspective and my vision became more in tune with what my goals are and how important it is that what I do, I continue to do it, because there's a bigger picture. All right. I want to just say here too, within your presentation, there is an opportunity to collaborate and even to invite us as environmentalists to educate and to speak to your group, because before I never used to recycle plastics. I used to toss it out, and now I go home and I do what I gotta do, and I can see how that is influencing the actions of other individuals who are around me. So Department of Environment, the Analytical Services, we all have a part to play. And of course, last but not least, I want to tip my hat to Miss Ruth Spencer. She has been on the forefront. She has been working tirelessly. She's the one who takes our voices out, exposing our local efforts, And I just want to say thanks for doing that, from a regional and doing it on a regional and international standpoint. I don't know how she does it, man. It's like the more she works, the more she becomes energized. But kudos to you. And so, in closing, I always want to share a word of encouragement. We all have a part to play. Yeah. As an individual, let's change our consumption habits. Let's start to dispose of our waste in a different way. Um, to 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 those who can influence, whether it be from a governmental standpoint or any other platform from which you operate, let's create an environment in which all of our efforts can thrive and bloom and multiply. Yeah. So,
Help me. What is the name of your organization?
Wills Recycling.
This is a private company?
It's a private company, yes, located on the way to the landfill.
Is there a national company on recycling?
No, there isn't. There are several individuals in different sectors of the recycling sector that deal with different waste types.
I say that there needs to be communication in recycling. And there needs to be a government authority to coordinate that. There's a painful story, if I could be permitted to speak about it. Years ago, there was a unit, a body established to recycle electronic waste, computers and other parts. And that organization or used to that individual in recycling and used to train youths also.
That's it next to you.
Thank you very much. I do want to say it. Mr. Abrams had the responsibility of recycling electronic things like computers. Mr. Abrams used to train young people, and Mr. Abrams always used to pack up those wastes and put them in container and export them to companies that used to return a payment for what they get. I don't believe what happened sometime did happen, where laptops were dumped, and then some of them get warm and were trying to rotten, and the worm said we can't eat that, and then the story is history. But Mr. Abrams was the person recycling computers.
What happened is that the Japanese government visited his site and they wanted to support it, but they said, how are we going to give you forklifts? How are we going to give you equipment? Where are you going to house them? And we made several visits to the Ministry of Environment, and he said yes, he's going to get a spot. Nothing ever happened. And these issues are priority at the international level. E-waste, the chemicals and waste issue is very, very high. And to know that here in Antigua, we have all these pilots in these, waste recycling areas. But at the national level, at the government level, there is no support. It's just talk. And so I remember a lot of the trainees from Abyss was saying they learned so much. They wanted to go back to the site. They built up so many skills. But the follow through, what you need from the government, their priorities were elsewhere.
You said it.
Yeah. That's why, you can't sit down and wait. It will never happen. You have to push. You with that personal commitment. You got to push and advocate because they're getting paid to do their job. But it's always for them. It's always, you go to these meetings, it's always money. We need finances to do this. We need financiers. And I said to myself, all these little groups, they started without money. They had that interest, they had that commitment, and they started actions, and that's how they were supported. So that's the situation. That's why you're here. We're the government people that commit to be here. They're not here. They probably can't face the questions you're going to ask, but we have to build these partnerships and don't sit down and wait. That's what I'm telling you. If you sit and wait, nothing is going to happen. Get up and demand action from them. That's how it's going to take place. You start, and That's why I think globally they're giving more spaces, more credit to local groups. You're the one causing the implementation on the ground. You're the one making things happen. And we have to continue. And we are here to support you. I mean, we don't have a lot of money, but we're going to get things moving for you. Your ideas, these things have to come to fruition. Because if they're not done, the health of the people, the health of the environment is going to. Okay.
That's why
You need
we
to talk to me?
That's
Okay.
why we appreciate you so much.
Okay, I teach visual arts, right? And over the years, I taught at primary school and secondary school. I even do camps, go to different camps in the summer and so forth. But one of my push has been over the years, use what is around you. Also, what I used to do, I don't know, as serious, I don't know how I used to do it, but it was done. And I used to involve my husband and our children. We would go out, for example, when the lady was talking about worry, I smiled because I had taken children out, school children, get the field trip done, and we go out different trip, we go out where the worry are. And we used to tell them, you cannot just go and just pluck and tug at them. Yes, you'll want the seed, but you used to tell them, no, you have to, like a little thorns and so forth. Take your time, trim around. When you go, don't destroy what is there. We used to go and we look the date palm. I used to say to them, you can't just go and just cut down the palm trees. They used to come back and we show them what to do. Because I used to say to them, I am not going to go out there and bring the palm to you. I'm not going to go out there and bring the pandanus, which is the screw pine. You have to know how to do it because in the long run, I want you to be able to do it for yourself. And at the same time, do not destroy it. I'm listening to the man talk about the recycling. Just the other day, I'm teaching myself, we're talking about even the children. They waste so much. Morning when school starts, before the bell rings, there's plastic bottles, bags, different on the ground. We cannot teach our children somebody have to pick up your waste after you. And this is what a lot of them are being exposed to. We at school have to be pushing, but sometimes what we are faced with, the children say to us, and I will give you the dialect. My mama Papa send me to school for clean up garbage. But I will say to them, your mama and Papa send you to school for make a mess. And that's the thing will happening. They're not sensitized and being told, you have to clean up your mess. When we do that, we realize that it's going to make a difference. It's not going to be easy. The kindergarten, before time, I don't know, you used to go sing the song, bits of paper lying on the ground, make the place tidy, pick them up. I learned that in later. I can remember preschool days. And when I remember it was preschool, I was asking my big sister. My big sister is over 60. And I asked her sister, you remember where I used to sing? And she said, when you all used to come home from preschool. So that's one of my evidence. The other stuff I say evidence is our children need to listen to what we have to say. We need to know what they happen to them, document the facts for them because it's not all books they're going to read. They need to come out with us, hear our street language, realize and get their history, build their history so that they can pass it down to generation. I am one of the persons who are fortunate to live to see great-grandparents, which are over 100. And my dad keeps saying he wants to live to see that. Or have uncles live to see that. And I am one of them who is saying, I want to live to see that. It's a heredity, but I want to live to see that. But I have to encourage the children to keep my environment clean so that I can live to see that.
Natalia is the national coordinator for the small grants, and we're glad for the great work she's doing. By the way, the JEF is the financial mechanism for the global biodiversity framework. And so there's going to be more pressure on JEF and the small grants to deliver. Rapid changes are going to be made. And I do not know what's going to happen in the future. But in a lot of countries, small grants not reaching the local people. And you hear in the African and Asian communities how the governments are saying, we don't want JEP, enough is not being done. But I'm glad for Antigua was able to be on a panel where I can say, you know, we were able to reach a lot of the local groups who had no other opportunities. But I don't know. Changes are going to come. But let us, you know, start with your ideas, start with community based solutions, make an effort, and the help will come. Thanks for coming, Natalia.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to see everybody and to see you all here. I'm standing here because I don't tend to project my voice very well. As you would have known, Ruth was the national coordinator of Jeff Small Grants Program, so I have very, very big shoes I'm trying to fill. Anyway, thank you very much. And as I look around in the audience, I see grantee partners, I see colleagues, I see projects past, projects coming up, and projects in the works right now. I'll just give you a very brief description of what Jeff Small Grants Program does. Our motto is local action, global impact. We empower civil society organizations, so churches, community groups, associations, cooperatives. It could be the taxi association, it could be the football association. You can get funding from us. So you heard about the financial mechanism. We are a financial mechanism, and so you get up to 50,000 US dollars. The projects must be environmentally based. So even though I said yes, the football association can get funding, it's primarily to support some cause, to address a need that's in the society. So persons don't have a place to healthily relax and socialize, the football association can start a park in their society. We can do that. We do beach cleanups. The aim of the game is to empower the groups to work on your passion projects. So I can go right around, starting with before I started, I would visit the projects. I hear Ruth Spencer, she was always there. Freetown, Sweets Village Uncovered, West Indies Still Heritage Foundation, and I can go right around the group and hear of all the projects that were supported by Jeff. Now, Jeff Small Grants Program, it's supposed to be a stepping stone. We are not just a funding organization, we also strengthen the capacity that exists within the groups. So we work with our groups, we work with our partners. So Ruth is also the chair of the MEPA Trust. And we also have Sasha from MEPA Trust. And Sasha is also, well, she has retired now, but she's also on our National Steering Committee for Jeff Small Grants Program. And we work with them, we work with other civil society organizations to bring capacity strengthening to organizations that may have the desire to implement a project, but may not have the know-how to manage a project or, to manage their finances. So it's not just about giving the money. It's not just the money that empowers, but the know-how to actually implement, execute, and report on the projects. So Ruth just mentioned about a lot of changes that are taking place. There are changes left, right, and center. This new cycle coming up seems to be one that is going to be the most daunting, and we really have to show, I like to say, show me emotion, show what we have done. And we know that has been happening ever since Ruth was the coordinator. We continue to do it. We continue to collaborate. And the work must speak for itself. I don't think they have a problem with Antigua and Barbuda because our work does speak for itself, but there will be those changes. So Jeff Small Grants Program with our partners also help you to empower yourselves, not just to implement, not just to manage, but to also be able to speak of your work. You may not know, but you're sitting in an area that was an illegal dump site, and that it's now, as a result of several different funding, including Jeff Small Grants Program, is this lovely area that we're meeting in. So this is speaking for itself, and that is what we want. And also, it's not just about getting the project done, but what are the lasting impacts? How can you step on to larger pots of funding? How can you be a mentor to other organizations that are coming up? And this is why we're also here. We are also here to be that support for you, to connect to other CSOs. And we're also here to connect you to government and to private sector. Again, not just for funding, but for the connections. So hopefully when you're finished with Jeff, hopefully you're never finished with Jeff, but when you finish with a project, you're not just only successfully implemented a project and ticked a box, but you are a more mature organization, an organization that can support other organizations, that can help to build the capacity. And that's what we're here for. So just the last thing that I will say is that we have a small pot of funding left in the current cycle, but we are also entering a new cycle. And so there will be funding available. There is capacity training. Again, we've done training with the Fishermen's Co-op in Barbuda, not in Antigua, but we know that you're just getting back on your legs. And so I'm happy for a setting like this where we can all come together and hear what we're doing and know how we can support one another. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please.
Thank you very, very much. Because Jeff is the only dedicated source of funding for the local groups. Every now and then you hear from another agency, but Jeff is dedicated. And we want to make the best use of this. That's why we have to advocate too. Because if you sit down and wait, you want to get things done, you're depending on government, you're depending. What if it never happens? And it's getting harder and harder. Bernard came this morning and said he got some funds from the Commonwealth. They're stuck in a bank. The banking financial system in Antigua right now is chaos. And he can't they're requiring all kind of audits, all kind of reports. Barbara told me this morning an audit for her is almost $10,000. We need to find for doing charity, not-for-profit work. We shouldn't be burdened with all these extra costs. We are doing so much voluntary work. So we need to find financial accounting firms that are willing to provide these services, on very low cost to our groups, because they're asking for audits now. They're asking for so much things that require such high costs in Antigua. So that's how we have to partner, build the collaborations, and make things happen. Hassani, I was very impressed when I took a visitor to your site. You wasn't there, but the knowledge of your workers. You weren't there, but they could proudly boast, tell you what they're doing. They showed us the copper. So your treat, whatever you have is passing on to them. And I was so proud that your workers knew the value of repurposing, recycling. So our lives tell a story. What we do, the emphasis, the focus we put on our activities is very, very important. And people around us will see, from our lifestyle, how committed and how dedicated we are. So now, Maleka, we'd like to hear from you. You have an NGO. How in your everyday life can you work with these groups? We want to hear from you. You're a source of strength and inspiration for us.
Thank you, Ruth. I always wonder why you invite me to these sessions. I have engaged with these topics and issues, environmental, climate change, conservationist issues from a number of angles. As a policymaker, also as a CSO, I'm happy that I was able to represent the region at the level of the UN during the shaping of the Sustainable Development Goals. So I was a part of those negotiations, the writing of the Sustainable Development Goals. So this is why I show up. She didn't know that. And now in my private practice, I am a development practitioner and consultant. So I do consultancy work for a number of international organizations, including the UN. That's just one of my hats. I also come, though, as just a nature lover and a consumer of this awesome paradise that we live in. It's beautiful. And my legacy is that I try to get my children in touch with that as best I can to cure some of all these issues that we've come up with. I think my parents didn't do that with me. I can tell you that. All right? But as parents, we all have to make a conscious effort to do that to our children. Now, I also have a nonprofit. It's a foundation. It's called the Hands Up Foundation. which is the work I do. I am from the Grace Green community, so I work mostly with young people. Uh, Environment and climate change has not been a big component of that because of the resources that is required to do many of those things. But I've promised Natalia that she will hear from us very soon. So that's something that we're looking forward to. So I come mainly because I always want to keep in touch with what is happening in the various corridors of this country where these things are concerned. And every time I come and I'm able to hold a mic, I come to tell people to advocate, that nothing changes without advocacy. And I have had the fortune of living in what we call first world countries. And I've said it here before that I find it difficult that most of the information that I've had on environmental awareness, recycling, and marine sustainability and so on has been in first world countries. When I live in an island paradise, when we should be fighting hardest for these things. All right, so I'm always coming because I like to hear what the groups are doing, and I like to encourage all of you to continue to advocate. And where I can assist based on the knowledge I have from the various angles that I've operated, I'm always happy to assist. As usual, I've already learned so much today. I did not know that my friend here existed in what he was doing. And I think that that is just phenomenal. I look forward to seeing his operation. All right, so thank you, Ruth. I can't join the chorus of the praises that people sing to you and do any justice to you. So I'll just say thank you for inviting me and for the work that you continue to do.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Is it afternoon already? It's afternoon. Oh, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kadeem Joseph. Most of you may know the name through media. I was a career journalist at Observer Media for quite some time. And now I work with the British High Commission in Antigua and Barbuda as a representative of the British government here. And the interests that the British government has in Antigua and Barbuda. Part of that has to do a lot with the environment and what we would like to see in terms of an island paradise. So a lot of our support goes to NGOs here. The EAG is a very strong partner with us, and last December, while a lot of details have not been released to the media, last December we announced an MOU with the Ministry of Blue Economy for the development of an aquaponics facility for individuals living with disabilities. So that's a project we're very proud of. We're looking forward to it getting off the ground. So we are hopeful that with more events like this, we'll hear much more about what local organizations need. And unfortunately, because Antigua and Barbuda is no longer under ODA funding, the type of assistance we can provide is limited. So it's always looking for unique opportunities where we can, I don't want to say strong arm our government, but to massage. To ensure that when we do have pots of money available, that we can reach out to you. And in quick succession, in quick time, we get project proposals that we can successfully pitch to to the different managers of these pots of money. So I'm happy to hear about the reservoir restoration in Barnes Hill. We look for these sort of projects that have an impact on the environment in a way that supports how we live. And we know that, Antigua, we're drought prone. So we love opportunities like that to support projects that have direct impact to our society. So I'm looking forward to working along with all of you in some way, shape or form. And in my personal capacity, if you need any assistance in terms of communication, etc., 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 feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help.
Okay.
Oh, and apologies, I do have to leave short.
Okay, thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lots of us here spend the whole day with you, but we're gonna meet a little more often because we need the cross sharing. You know, we need to follow up how things are going and you know support each other.
Okay, good morning or good afternoon, everybody.
Thanks for hosting us.
And yeah, welcome. I can welcome you. This is the Antigua Barbuda Horticultural Society. This is the Agave Gardens. This is our seed bank. Thank you, Ruth Spencer. Thank you, Natalia Lawrence. Our society is an old one. The Antigua Barbuda Horticultural Society has been around prior to us regrouping since 1956. I was probably about anyway. We are delighted that this has come about literally in the last 7 or 8 years. This entire project. We started out by discovering that this land was given to the Horticultural Society in 1985, and it was never used. No one knew it was here. It looked like next door. Someone said, go down and check in the registry, you've got land, and we have land. So here we are. In addition to the land, we have been very fortunate. We met Ruth Spencer, the Global Environmental Fund, SGP. We built the building. I mean, when you inherit a society that has been dormant, there's no money. We built the shade house. And a few years later, the idea came that we should do a seed bank. And I said, oh God, I can't, please, no. Ruth said, you got to do it. Natalia took over and said, you will do it. So here we are. The seed bank is what I'm very proud of. The seed bank is to preserve Antigua seeds. We've got a collection of 300 seeds in that bank. We want everybody to know about it. I'm remiss after COVID. I hate to use COVID all the time. But in the last 2 years, we haven't done as much as we intended. Schools come. We want schools to understand the simulation between a seed and a plant. And we will have literally in-class learning about what seeds do, what they do, how you use them, and then take them up and show them the result. We have given away seeds to many schools, and we intend to continue to do that. We have not had as much success with our farmers. We contact them, and we're hoping that more of them will come in. We have an air-conditioned seed bank which will preserve seeds. It's a wonderful idea because you can come and see how many years the seed has been in the bank and how viable it is. And we're able to grow them out and see how long they will last. So it's a wonderful project. It will feed Antigua. When we have a hurricane, the seeds blow away. Your crop is ruined. What do? You come here. We've got seeds. So we'll start you all off again. So we're hoping that the seed bank will grow in time and will expand, and we will be able to be the source for seeds on the island. So we have a big flower and garden show coming up. I have to plug that. It's March 25th. We have wonderful market partners selling plants, flowers, trees, and all of that. So support us. Our shade house manages many different types of plants that we sell. In addition to which, when we discovered the land, above there we found what we call a medicinal herb garden. Many of the members recognize the herb. This is what my grandmother used. So we have them, we preserve them, and we want everybody to be aware of what they did and what they continue to do. I like to tell everybody we got neosporin growing up there, people, and you can come and put it on a cut and it can heal it. So we have wonderful things. And to help in everybody else's organization, which is to preserve, this is what we're doing. We're preserving the old adage that this will heal you, whether or not we don't pretend to be doctors, but it works. And we have the seeds. So thank you all for coming. Ruth always says to me, yeah, we have members. Oh, yes, please. Our members tend to be a little older, like me. We're looking for young members. We have about 150 members. They are quite active. The core of the membership tend to be ladies and men who are a little bit retired. So we are
always asking everybody to come in, help, do a day's work in the garden. It keeps you young, it keeps you fit, it relaxes you. It's a wonderful thing to do. So yeah, membership is 50 EC dollars a year. For that, you get courses. We have the most fabulous arranging flower courses. We have so many people who have created a business arranging flowers from taking our courses. So they go to churches and they really arrange all the flowers there. We have backyard gardening courses. So come in and visit us, please, and partake of what we offer. Yes. Yes. You have yellow bottom. It's a wonderful tree, and it's a good-looking tree as well. It flowers, and it's a very good-looking tree. You drink it as tea as well, yeah. Isn't that incredible? Wonderful. Yeah. Yellow bottom. Wow. Yeah. So we have a list of all the medicinal plants. So look it up there, and we love information. When I saw Miss Edwards, I said, "Oh, I love this lady. She just knows everything about plants." Thank you all.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sasha Middleton. I currently am the CEO for the Mappa Trust. Morning, everyone. My name is Sasha Middleton. I'm currently the CEO for the Marine Ecosystems Protected Area Trust, also known as the Mappa Trust. So we are one of 12 national conservation trust funds set up throughout the Caribbean region to support environmental work through project and program implementation as well as through grant making. Now, we're not specifically just for civil society organizations, but we also give funding to government, private sector, non-government, faith-based organizations, and therefore, thereafter. I will say that I've been on the Jeff Small Grants Committee for many years, since probably 2012, 2013. So last year was actually my last year. So I've actually been very much familiar with your project from the Wish Foundation, Wills Recycling. So I've been in contact with a lot of NGOs, more than 45 NGOs. So one of the things that we want to do is to empower NGOs going forward more often. And in the Mappa Trust, we've actually helped quite a bit of NGOs to get legally registered at absolutely no cost. We help them through, helping them get registered, putting together their constitution for their work so that they're able to tap into other donor funding agencies, if, like small grants program, for instance, because a lot of times that it's so super expensive to do just that. So the Mappa Trust was able to do that with the help of Mr. Gary Gore, our previous chair, as well as with Ruth. So we utilize I would say our positions or our role with the Jeff Small Grants program to actually help with the Mappa Trust. And everybody wears many different hats. So we are always in connection with each other, no matter what it may be. So I'm definitely excited to learn more about everyone's, initiatives, but I'm very much familiar with quite a lot of people here. So thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Billy, and I'm the co-founder of the West Indies Sail Heritage Foundation. My wife and I started the foundation just not quite 5 years ago, and our main goal is to create a pathway for meaningful maritime careers for Antigua youth. We're both professional mariners, and we've been coming here for years and years and years, and we were always wondering why there weren't more Antiguans involved as captains, as mates, as engineers on all of these vessels that are coming and going from the island. So it occurred to me that I should start giving back what I was given as a younger person, so I'm giving back. We sail mostly with younger Antiguans, probably say 14, 15 years old. We do have some youngsters that are about 20. I say youngsters, I feel a bit old now, but so we work together a little bit with the National Sail Academy and with the Yacht Club and with a couple of schools to try to get youngsters on the boat. We are fleshing out a relationship with the Merseyside Adventure Sailing Trust and with the Harlinga Maritime Institute, where we can create scholarship opportunities for Antiguans to go get a meaningful IMO certified maritime certification. That's coming quite well. We did a pilot project last year. We were able to send 2 Antigua youth to Europe for a sailing experience that could lead to career opportunities. And this year we're looking to double that amount. And we're hoping to double the amount until we get to a sustainable amount of youth going back and forth to Europe and getting meaningful maritime careers. We participate in many of the regattas. We've been invited to go offshore this year to St. Bart's to sail over there as well. And we're hoping that we're able to forge more and more relationships with people in the community so we can start reaching more youngsters. And we're also hoping that we'll be able to lean on some of the organizations for logistics and things like fundraising events, getting people together so we can have a big barbecue and maybe fill the bank account up a little bit to help more Antigua youth get career development opportunities. I think that's.
To add the latest, you forget it, but we are since last week working together with Caribbean Sail Training. That gave us the opportunity to send one of our students to a Dutch tool ship. He is gonna fly to St. Martin and gets his deckhand training, 2 weeks sailing from St. Martin to the EPR. We're jealous. We both want to go, but he can go.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Winston Abrams. I was fortunate to have met Ruth. There was a need for an e-waste program on the island. E-waste is recycling electronic waste. And I own a company called Computer Reset. And my church, we partnered with the UN, and we were given a grant to start the first e-waste center on the island. You all may not know this, but researching for this project, I found out that when the electronic waste gets into the landfill, it produces persistent organic pollutants. They're called POPs, and they get into the water, and it causes cancer. So what Ruth and I were saying that is we were trying to let them do a research around the landfill and see how many lives were damaged or destroyed by cancer. But not only does the e-waste cause cancer when it gets into the water system, but when it's incinerated, it also gets into the air, and so you can imagine what's been taking place around the landfill over the years. Now we know that we're a small island and the resources are limited, so that is why the UN gave the grant to get us started. And we actually worked with the unemployment program. We worked with the boys at the boys training school, and we had a policy like my brother there where it was a zero e-waste. We were going to prevent any e-waste from getting into the landfill. Now, a big problem with the e-waste is that it's very labor intensive because you've got to separate plastics from metal. Everything has to be separated. So it wouldn't make a very good business. So the government gave us unemployed persons and the boys from the e-waste center, from the boys training school. And we were able to really get the program going. We even had persons going into the schools and telling the children. And we had parents actually come to the center with e-waste and said, my daughter told me that this is what they learned in school, and they brought the e-waste to the e-waste center. And we were doing well. We were able to send e-waste overseas. But as Ruth said, we ran into a snag when we tried to upgrade the project. I guess it wasn't priority. So we couldn't get the funding. We couldn't get the cooperation from the government to get the Japanese government wanted in order to upscale the project. So there's no e-waste center on the island, and I think we're back to now dumping the e-waste and covering it up in the landfill. And the reality is that we've signed on to a lot of conventions saying that we wouldn't do that. So a e-waste center is definitely needed. My other passion is that I have a ministry called the Another Chance Ministries. And I think this is one of the most neglected on the island because we don't see the vision. And it's dealing with the inmates. You see, the inmates are placed in the facility. The boys are sent to the boys training school. And if I tell you that, that's a horror story in itself, where boys that are homeless are sent with boys that are criminals. They corrupt each other and take advantage. And I have a horror story where one boy was simply homeless and he's now in a mental institution. But what I do is I go in and I teach them computer training because the thing is, we say that as a society we don't have the resources to deal with them. But I always say this, that we pay now or we pay later. Because if we don't deal with them now, when they get out, because they're going to get out on the average, the crimes that they commit, the lives that they destroy, society pays. And so I think this is a program, and it's not going to cost a lot of money. Ruth and I have discussed it. The men are there with time to do nothing but think about how to become better criminals. That's it. They've got no programs. They're not doing anything every day. So I go in and I teach them computers and stuff. But like if we had a program where we've got a lot of retired persons that are not doing anything, where we have them going into the prisons and teaching them things, have them, doing things every day so that they learn something, so that when they get out, they've got an alternative and not go back to what they do best. And we need that. Absolutely. So those are my passions. The e-waste center and the prisoners. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I have to take my leave now.
But maybe you can get your lunch before you
It's
go.
nice being here.
Yes,
We're
nice.
setting up lunch. I'm not too far from you. I'm there at Sylvia's trying to take over problem.
Well, if you want, up to you.
The problem is that.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon again.
I have a question on one of your passions, the inmates. So you teach them computer, and the computers are provided by the prison?
I take them.
Takes them in.
I take
She's
them
struggling
laptop.
with 10, 12 computers.
I ask that because that is an initiative my foundation tried to start. I was actually in government at the time, but I have a foundation. Like I said, I work a lot with young people. And I had a brother who was incarcerated, and the prison became a project for me to help them because he was a brilliant boy, and as you stated, they have nothing to do but to be idle. And I sourced computers, which I was going to get from overseas. I got teachers who were going to volunteer their time to teach, for them to be able to write their 60 subjects and so on, so they can at least come out with something. And it was impossible for it to happen.
Really?
Yes. It never happened.
Bureaucracy.
First, I was told that they don't have enough guards, that if I set up a whole program to teach them, they wouldn't have any guard that would be available on that shift to supervise. They didn't have space. I mean, it was incredible. And I was a government minister at the time. And I tried to speak to who was Dr. Earl Court, Minister of National Security. Like, this is an urgent matter. And you have described it so well. And for years, it didn't happen. And I never got the computer. Well, I didn't take the computers, because that was what they were for. And of course, the teachers moved on with their lives. So I just want to tip my hat to you. I think that is phenomenal, what you're doing. And I'd like to speak to you to see how I can support that work.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah.
On a footnote, I told you that I dealt with the boys at the boys training school, and I saw that it was simply a revolving door to the prison.
The ministry where I was social transformation.
Precisely.
And I visited. Boys training school was not under my remit, but there was a direct link, which, policymakers are not even making that link, which is crazy. So I visited the boys training school just out of interest and out of a desire to improve it. But the bureaucracy is like there's an invisible hand that, the status quo remains, and that is because there isn't the vision, the passion, the interest, as you've stated by the leadership.
They don't see that these people are going to cause havoc on society because they're simply sitting there learning how to become better criminals and plotting and planning everything.
Mr. Benjamin said we're a minute-maid society. Which I say differently, we're a microwave society. I say that a lot because it's a microwave solution. It's not a solution. But they do as less as possible. Nobody's willing to deal with the issue in that moment because it's just going to be kicking the can down the road.
I think they don't have the vision.
Until one of our former parliamentarians was held at gunpoint and shot. It just happened the other day. But there's no separation between that. There's a straight line to that.
Yeah.
So, I commend you.
Thank the Lord. Thank you.
Paul Bacchus. I'm the owner and manager of Bacchus Small Business Consultancy Service. We do business plan, small business analysis, marketing, promotion. We work with all the sectors, and I work in Antigua and Barbuda. We do the training for small business people, and in the business analysis, we try to get the total family involved in the business. And that is it in a nutshell. We've been working throughout the state of Antigua and Barbuda, dealing with small business in every aspect of the small business.
Just give your name and you're a member of the Disabilities Association.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Shanisha Fedwa. I'm the secretary of the Antigua and Barbuda Association of Persons with Disabilities. We receive grants from Jeff Small Grant Program, where we're doing a horticultural therapy and an aquaponic system, and we're in the process of sending 5 members to the Antigua and Barbuda, to the University of the West Indies and Five Island Campus to study a courses where we're supposed to be doing 4 quarters of courses, but we're taking it one step at a time. So we're supposed to start classes in January, hopefully, and these classes will be for project management and how to manage our project and go forward.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Zenwer David from Swiss. I'm the president of the Swiss Village Uncovered Group, and of course my sister there has represented it, and I heard she has done it well, and I just want to say how thankful I am for her. And also, we have just opened our facilities just about maybe a month and a half or so ago, and I guess 1 or 2 people that are here were there. And what we are doing is a touristic, a little touristic thing, village tourism thing we are trying. And we have, as it is the oldest building in the village, the oldest dwelling house in the village, and it It is called Blouse and Skirt, and we are using that as a tourist attraction. And in addition to that, we have another little old building there, which, well, it need quite a bit of refurbishing. And so we are trying now to upgrade that into a museum. And that actually would have been the first museum outside of St. John's, a village museum. And we have quite a bit of artifacts and so on, things that represent the old days and so on. We have like the windmill, the sugar mill. We have the first church and school building that we had in Sweet. We have a replica of them. And so just at any time and you would like to visit Sweet's Village Uncovered, we have signs set up now so that you are able to more easily locate these areas. And also, just recently we have given out some tanks from the initiative, from the Jeff Initiative grant. We have given out about, distributed about 17 tanks between the members of the community of Swedes. And we have part of that project also is to bring back the old bambola, the old, food that we used to eat in the old times when we couldn't make it better. And so we just want to bring back that as well. That is a part of our project. And so our numbers are growing. Of course, we lose a few, but we gain more. And I am grateful to have people like teacher Miss Tong, and we have others like her as well. And we are happy for that. And thanks for Miss Spencer's initiative and so on that has helped us to be where we are for today. And so I did not really come to speak directly because I know that Miss Tong is here. She told me that she would be here. I was planning to be here a little bit earlier, but because I have to transport some of the other folks, I could not be here earlier. And so that is it. And so I thank you very much. Huh? Oh yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice.
And I did tell them that they would taste the little of sweets.
All right, right.
That's the Lord.
Yeah. No, we are not on the main road. We are close to the baker. There's an only baker shop in the village, and we are close to that. And it is near to a church of God of Prophecy, not the Moravian, nor the Wesleyan Holiness Church, nor the Catholic. We have 4 churches. Huh?
Have your signs on the main road?
Yeah, you.
No, I know, but the sign.
Yeah, there are some signs now. What we are doing, I am building a little shed-like thing. It is actually, well, it's an open shed. Well, two little miniature shed, just about 4 feet wide and about 10 feet in length. I have started them this week. Those are to place our artifacts here for the time, because we found out that the artifacts, we had them after our opening, we had them in the open, and the sun, the weather is getting to them, and so we have to kind of protect them, and we don't have the building space to keep them. So we are doing these 2 sheds, and they will have partial covering so that when the rain comes, the rain doesn't get them, or the weather and so on. And so we're moving on, yes.
So Malika, with her concerns about the prison and the boys training school, everybody, Charlotte was looking for another school for the plastics project. They're connecting. And that's how it is, just by sharing. And Barbara, so thankful that I love this place.